Hi, I'm Ruben Guzman here with Battle Arms Development, telling you about our Wright Cnc plasma table. Setting up the table was super easy. It was a one-man setup. I was able to do it by myself. It took maybe about 3 or 4 hours in total. And it was just simple basic tools, just nuts and bolts really. No special tools needed at all. After setting up the table, the next thing was setting up the computer. So what we did is set up the computer in a rollaway toolbox. Well, the Wright informational videos, they show a toolbox as well, so we kind of did it similar, but we encased everything within the toolbox rather than outside. So the computer that we got with CNC Wright was already preloaded. So after the computer setup, it was, configuring the software. It was very user-friendly. I was able to navigate through all the software. So we used Inkscape, SheetCam, and Mach 3. It's mostly 2D drawing, which is pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy. So what we have here is our Battle Arms logo. We imported it and just want to look at it, make sure there's no extra or funny shapes. So what we do is we switch to the outline mode, and here you can see if there's any extra nodes in between. You want to get rid of them, because what the machine will do is we'll pick them up and acts like an extra anchor point, and it will cut it. So you want to make sure it's clean on all 4 points, and you want to do that to each individual shape. So once you edit and you're happy with it and you're ready to cut, you want to export it to SheetCam. Once you get it into SheetCam, you can see and create a tool path. So here it's going to show the direction of the tool head on which one is going to start first. You want to create an order of operations. So you want to create an order of operations. So you want to do all the pilot holes first. You want to do all the inside area first. And then you go to the outside. So that's going to be the last piece that holds it before it falls out. And once you're happy with this, you can export it for G-code. You go to Mach 3, you load your file, so once you have your file loaded, you want to set your home. You want to set your torch head to So here we're going to set our home. Zero it out, click Regen Toolpath. And I always like to double check my material, make sure it's still square, it hasn't moved. Once you have verified it is nice and square, you now click Cycle Start. So when you're cutting, you want to make sure the torch height has the right height. You can't have it too close or too far. So here's where you adjust your torch height. You always want to be watching when it's cutting, because sometimes your bed might not be level. Some might be high in some spots, low in some spots. So you always want to be adjusting your torch height. So after the table and computer setup, here comes maintenance. You want to maintain your table. You want to add water because it will evaporate. So you want to clean and lubricate the tracks as well. We use a simple WD-40. So when you put your material on the plasma bed, you got to square it up. If you're going to cut a big piece, like a 4x8, you want to square it up, make sure it's even, so that way you get a nice consistent cut. If you do in small pieces, kind of tough because it does move or it would shift on you. I usually use a tape measure, that's fine. You square up the sides, the X and Y. So once you square it up, you want to home your machine. You want to pick a spot where you're going to home the head, the torch head. So once you have your file loaded, you want to set your home. You want to set your torch head. So here we're going to set our home. Zero it out. Click Regen toolpath. And I always like to double check my material, make sure it's still square, it hasn't moved. Once you have verified it is nice and square, you now click cycle start. So after we were comfortable with the cuts and I was happy with the amount of slag that was being produced, it was a nice clean cut. You want to make sure you have a nice clean tip as well when you're cutting. You get some nice detailed work. Some of the finer stuff like the 20 gauge, you want to change the tip to a fine cut tip, and you want to have maximum amount of water as you can, because what that would do is prevent warpage. So you do more water with low amps. And we started cutting a wide variety of images. So we went from small, you know, like a 6x6 to all the way up to a 4 foot by 4 foot, wide variety of artwork. We did a wall art piece for our conference room. It was a 4 foot by 4 foot, and it was painted and polished. And we also did the desk for the president of Battle Arms. We did the side panels and the tags. We also polished and painted that as well. This is a great machine. I highly recommend it. It could be from a production company to, you know, just an individual working out of his garage. It would work fine as well. It's very user-friendly. Straightforward, no special tools needed. The software is pretty simple. I recommend CNC Wright Machine Plasma Table.